Welcome to the Michigan Association of Planning's 2022 Awards Program. The Michigan Association of Planning is a membership-based professional organization that was established in 1945. We serve both professional community planners as well as the volunteer elected and appointed planning and zoning officials that serve municipalities across the state of Michigan. Every year, we celebrate the projects and people who have contributed to quality communities and noteworthy planning in Michigan, including our long-term members who have maintained their memberships and been committed to MAP over not just years, but decades. Continued membership of any kind is an act of commitment, loyalty, and belief in the ideals and practices of the organization to which you belong. MAP's individual and group members have seen many changes in membership numbers, the composition of our membership, executive directors who have come and gone, and even our many names as we've evolved over the last 75 years. MSMPO, MSPO, MSP, MAPA, MAP, and APA Michigan. Today, we acknowledge 6 of our most valued members and celebrate their long-term commitment to the chapter and to quality community planning. We asked each of them to provide photos and some background on their careers. We have received some wonderful stories and photos from 5 of them, and we will share them with you now. This year, we are honored to have 3 members whose commitment has impressively spanned half a century. The association would like to honor them as valued members of the organization since 1972. John Daly, Sidney Mook, and Paul LeBlanc have all been members for 50 years. John Daly, who goes by Jack Daly, was accepted into the graduate program for urban planning at Wayne State University in 1966. At that time, Wayne State was the only graduate program in planning available, offering all classes in the evening. This allowed Jack to work full-time for the City of Warren Planning Department while working toward his master's degree. During those years, Jack worked on capital improvement programming, community renewal programming, and urban renewal. After the voters of the city voted to opt out of urban renewal, Jack concentrated on rezonings and site plan reviews. Between 1966 and 1972, Jack and a few colleagues formed a partnership to provide planning services on a part-time basis to places that at the time were rural communities, Washington and Macomb townships. Jack writes, "They were able to do this by working weekends and evenings and because they had very supportive spouses." Washington and Macomb townships' first master plans and comprehensive zoning ordinance were written by Jack and his colleagues. Jack was named director of the City of Warren Planning Department in 1988. He was with the city for 7 years. After leaving the City of Warren, Jack worked as a consultant planner for developers. He took on projects that he believed in as a planner. In 2000, he returned to Macomb Township as a consultant to work once again with his former partner, the late Jerome Schmeiser. Jerry and Jack worked together in Macomb until 2013. Then they worked in Ray and Richmond Townships, where they served on a part-time basis until 2018. Jerry and Jack are pictured here. Jack is currently serving as a member of the New Baltimore Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals. Jack writes that he has been blessed with many opportunities to engage as a professional planner in growing communities in Macomb County, that he is honored to have the opportunity to remain engaged in community planning, and that he and his wife, Katie, will be celebrating their 57th wedding anniversary in November 2022. Paul LeBlanc sent MAP the following message. "How time flies when you're having fun. I can't believe it's been over 50 years of night meetings, 5,000 plus, contentious public hearings, and some great memories. I've been extremely fortunate to have worked for and with some very talented planners beginning in 1971 with my first position as an assistant planner with the Saginaw County Metropolitan Planning Commission. Despite being fresh out of college, my supervisor threw me into some sink or swim situations almost from the start. I learned to swim quickly, though not very gracefully. After about 3 years in Saginaw, I was hired by the West Michigan Regional Planning Commission in Grand Rapids. During my 6 years there, I met two outstanding planners, Brad Strader and Steve Langworthy, who influenced me greatly and eventually became my business partners. One fateful day in late 1995, Steve Langworthy and I were having a staff meeting that involved a few malt beverages. Late in that evening, Steve asked, "Is there any reason we couldn't be doing this for ourselves?" To which I replied something to the effect of, "I suppose we could." After a few short months, we were on our own. Not long after that, Brad Strader rejected our invitation to move back to Grand Rapids to join us, something to do with kids being settled in the Detroit area schools. So rather than compete with one another, it was decided that the band would get back together anyway, with offices in East and West Michigan. Eventually, our firm, LSL Planning, had 4 offices, 25 employees, and projects in a dozen states. The range of assignments was broad, and we were privileged to serve some awesome clients. Having to grow the firm, meeting great people, learning the nuances of zoning and planning laws in other states, and actually seeing plans implemented were among the highlights of my career. I'm fortunate that several of my long-established clients haven't grown weary of me yet and continue to seek my assistance. Hopefully, they won't wise up anytime soon. After all, 73 is the new 50. 40 years is an impressive commitment to the organization, and we have 3 planners who have displayed stalwart devotion to planning in Michigan for the past 4 decades, since 1982. Patrick J. Coleman earned his bachelor and master's degrees in planning while as the planner zoning administrator for Mankato Township in Minnesota. In 1978, he moved to Michigan's Upper Peninsula and worked with the Western UP Planning and Development Region. In 1979, he became the first community development director for the city of Ironwood. In 1984, Pat joined UP Engineers and Architects, or UPEA, a multidisciplinary firm based in Houghton, and enjoyed a 27-year term with the firm as planning services manager. In 1998, he was named a principal and manager of the firm's Marquette office. In 2000, he was promoted to president of the firm and held that position for 7 years. Needing a change in 2008, Pat resigned from UPEA and moved to Alaska, joining USKH, a multidisciplinary firm based in Anchorage, to lead a newly created planning services division. In 2010, he returned to the UP and rejoined UPEA as the manager of their Marquette office. In 2014, he formed his own planning firm north of 45, providing responsive urban and town planning services to municipal and tribal clients in the Upper Great Lakes region. Pat has been recognized internationally as a leader in promoting the concept of livable winter cities for many years. He has conducted extensive research on planning and design practices of northern cities around the world, has applied this knowledge in the planning and design of northern cities, and leads the Winter Cities Institute, providing resource materials and technical assistance in support of the concept of the livable winter city. Mr. Coleman is especially proud of his many planning projects over the years with the city of Houghton and the city of Marquette. He is also recognized for introducing Michigan communities to winter cities and is proud of recent projects with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation that have helped a number of Michigan communities embrace the winter season and its opportunities to improve quality of life. In his free time, Mr. Coleman enjoys all of the things that make living in the North Country special: fishing, skiing, hiking, kayaking, and watching his 3 grandsons play hockey. Next, we celebrate Bruce Fowler. Bruce Fowler has worked for many entities across many states. He began his professional planning career working for Harlan, Bartholomew and Associates in Chicago. As an entry-level planner, his principal tasks were necessary but not glamorous, mostly land surveying. He then moved into research, working for the Center of Urban Regionalism, which was part of Kent State University in Ohio. Next, he moved to Pennsylvania and worked with Lane Kendig in Bucks County developing performance zoning. Bucks County was one of the first communities in the nation to consider environmental issues in the planning process. Then it was innovative. Today it is standard policy. In Missouri, he was the city planner for Kansas City and developed a citywide zoning ordinance along with many other plans. While working full-time for the city, Bruce earned his master's degree in urban and regional planning from the University of Kansas. Bruce then came to Michigan and, like so many planners, worked for McKenna. He was there for 10 years and served many communities. The city of Harper Woods was one of those communities. Bruce was the city's planning consultant for his entire time at McKenna. In 2005, he was appointed as planning director for Pittsfield Township, which is near Ann Arbor. He served as director for a number of years. After leaving Pittsfield, he worked in real estate before happily retiring. He and his wife, Peggy, enjoy their summers at their lake cottage near Paw Paw and the rest of the time at home in Farmington Hills, where they are involved with community activities. They fit in a bit of travel too. Our final honoree is Brad Strader. Brad has worked in Michigan his entire career with projects throughout the Lower Peninsula and other states in the Great Lakes and Mid-Atlantic regions. After graduating from MSU, Brad started his career in Grand Rapids, then was transferred to Detroit. There, he partnered with other planners to create LSL Planning, which he helped grow into a successful business for almost 20 years. In 2016, Brad embarked on a new endeavor with MKSK to open their Detroit office, which focuses on transportation planning and landscape architecture. His portfolio includes dozens of master plans, downtown projects, zoning and form-based codes, work on some major developments and redevelopment. Brad was also the ongoing planner for 15 towns. His forte, though, has been on linking transportation with land use on over 200 transportation projects of all types. He has been an author of several Michigan and national best practice manuals and has been an instructor for many organizations, including MAP, since 1995. He is currently the vice chair of the APA Private Practice Division and was a member of the International TRB Access Management Committee and chair of the ITE Transportation Planning Council. In his not so frequent spare time, when Brad is not working with many of you, he is active in sports or can be found traveling across the US and the globe to baseball games or places like Spain and Italy with his wife, Kathleen, his 3 amazing children, or their 2 terriers. This concludes the 2022 Longtime Member presentation. Thanks again to Sydney, Jack, Paul, Pat, Bruce, and Brad for your service to planning and to the Michigan Association of Planning. And thank you all for joining us to acknowledge the contributions of these amazing planners.